Hi and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave and this is episode 1470B and today's date is January 12th, 2018, and the title of the episode is To Convince the Public This Is What the Cabal Does. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the cabal is becoming very, very, very desperate. And like I said, eventually what they were going to do is they were going to try everything they possibly can to bring down Trump, the administration, those patriots that are trying to take the country back. And what they're out there doing is they're pushing a story that Trump used a curse word when he was describing other people from other countries. And what they're saying, he said, was, why are we having all these people from shithole countries come here? And then they started to push the idea that he's racist. And you need to understand how the cabal works. They work with the corporate media, one and the same. And since they have the ability to control the corporate media, they can put out stories and have every single one of the networks repeat the same exact story. And we've seen this with Conan O'Brien, where each one of the networks just keep repeating the same exact thing. It's all scripted. And when they do this is they try to convince people, since it's repeated over and over and over, it's almost like brainwashing, it must be true if they all have it. No, it doesn't mean it's true. It just means everyone's repeating it. I mean, they repeated Russian collusion how many times? Doesn't mean it's true. They repeated a lot of things. It doesn't mean it's true. Even if they have their fact checkers, which we know they're not checking facts, they're checking against the intelligence agencies to say, here are the real facts, even though we manipulated all the facts. So they're pushing this story, and they're trying everything they possibly can to get Trump out of office. That's really what they want. They don't want him there because he's undoing everything they've done over the many years. And it's not just him. He's just the front man. That's it. They have other people working behind the scenes that are helping him, who are true patriots who want the country back. And of course, Trump is out there, and he's going to say this is a fake news story. He's already denying that he even said that. Actually, he said, yes, I used tough language during his immigration reform meeting with members of Congress, but he says, this is not the type of language that I would use. I don't speak like this. And what's going to happen is, yes, the corporate media is going to play this over and over. People are going to have huge discussions over it, analyzing how he's a racist and things like that. And while that's going on, they're also going to bring up other stories. Another story that's coming out right now, this is coming out from the Wall Street Journal, and they just revived the same exact story, how his lawyers paid a porn star like $130,000 to stay quiet or something like that. And they're just going to continually push these stories out there because what they're trying to do is they're trying to build a momentum to convince the public this is why he needs to be impeached. Now, again, none of them ever turned out to be true. They just keep repeating the same things and hopefully something catches. And every time they try to do this, they fail. Now, we need to understand why they're so upset about what he's trying to do with immigration. Why are these individuals willing to push this agenda over the Deferred Action for Childhood Revivals? That's the DACA. Now, on the White House's own website, it lays the idea out very clearly. The United States must adopt an immigration system that serves the national interest to restore the rule of law and secure our borders. Trump is committed to constructing a border wall, ensuring the swift removal of unlawful entrants. Remember, the people who are here, they're illegal. There's a reason why they call them illegal, because they're not here legally. Yes, you can come into this country, just follow the procedures. It's very simple. He went on to say, the White House went on to say, they want to protect the American workers. The president supports ending chain migration, eliminating the visa lottery, and moving the country to a merit-based entry system. These reforms will advance the safety and prosperity of all Americans while helping new citizens assimilate and flourish. Now, the senators that came to the DACA meeting yesterday did not want this. They don't want him to do this. The Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals is a program that was started as an executive order by Obama. Now, some people say it's a memorandum, some people say it's an executive order, but it's there. What this does, it allows some immigrants who came into the U.S. illegally as children from being deported immediately. It is fairly expansive, allowing any individual who entered the U.S. illegally to defer deportation for 2 years. If they were younger than 31 years old on June 15, 2012, and who came to the USA before they were 16 years old. In other words, this order and concurrent program applies to not just children, but to adults who may have been in the workforce for over 10 years. The idea is to allow these people time to make the move to legalized status in the country, but it also amounts to an amnesty in many ways because the deferral can be renewed. The charge made by liberals and the media is, of course, to portray the intent to phase this program out as cruelty to children, when in fact, many of these people, they're not children at all, but working adults who are gaming the U.S. tax system by not participating in the American structure as citizens. Illegal aliens are often paid off the books for the work, and although this can mean low wages, it also means that what wages these people get, they get to keep it all. Gaining legal status in the U.S. means what it does in any country, that that person becomes subject to the laws, including those of taxation in that country. Now remember, these people are coming into this country illegally. And the reason why they need these individuals, and this goes back to the TPP, and not just the TPP, but for many reasons, is because once that was in place, every person in this country, and they're allowed to bring any more people into this, they were going to make the salaries, the income that these individuals and the people of the United States even. Because what they wanted to do is they wanted to bring people from other countries into this country, and they would work in factories in this country making the same salary they were making in the other countries. What would that do to the American worker? It would put them out of work. The American worker would have to drop their salary to that level. This is all the one world government type of thing. That's what they wanted to do with the TPP. But that got shot down. There are other things that allows why they wanted these individuals in here. One, because they know that they would vote for Democrats, which they can't really do, but again, they game the voting system. And while not having legal status can be harder in terms of not being able to receive some services in the United States, like a driver's license and other services, well, a lot of these laws pertaining to this were done away with. In other words, they gain an ID without responsibility to participate in some of the less fun aspects of living in the U.S., like paying taxes. Now, the meeting that made the news today with President Trump allegedly cursing was different than the televised meeting from a day before. However, it provided a lot of fodder for the anti-Trump press after an unusually dignified and surprising televised meeting with a wide ideological slice of congressional members the day before. And of course, they have no records of this. They have no tape recording of this. They have no filming of this. They're just out there saying that this is what he said, and he's saying, no, this is not what I said. And every time this comes up, it turns out the corporate media has lied. And we see right now they are pushing their agenda as hard as they possibly can because what they have in place, they don't want removed. And this is what they're doing right now. All of these things, Obamacare, the executive order, the memorandum for allowing illegals to come in here, this was all part of their major plan, which is now going south. And they don't want all of this to disappear because that means they're done for. So what they're doing right now is they're trying to push their agenda to keep what they have. But it's all falling apart very, very quickly. And you can see the only thing they have left is to call him a womanizer, a racist, and they play on emotions. That's what the cabal has. This is what the corporate media has. They never have facts. say racist, 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 or they say womanizer, womanizer, womanizer. They just keep using these terms over and over and over to get people angry, because that's all they have left. They can't think of anything else to do at this point. And they're getting pissed off about it because they know the walls are closing in on them. And it's getting harder and harder, and they have nothing left. Because the Mueller investigation has gone nowhere. There's a lot of investigations into the Clintons, into the Uranium One deal, into Obama, into Eric Holder, into Susan Rice, and the rest of what they've done in the past. And believe me, and Comey and the rest, and a lot of things they've done are completely illegal. This is why they already have the indictments ready to go. We see right now the U.S. Central Command Chief General Joseph Votel has assured the head of Pakistan's army that the U.S. is not contemplating any unilateral action inside the country. Pakistan was very worried that maybe they would have regime change or something like that, and they're saying that, no, we're not going to be doing anything. The whole plan here was to shut down the Cabal in Afghanistan. That's what this was all about. To shut down the roots, to make sure that the terrorists in the country, those individuals that are working for the Cabal, they have nowhere to go. And to shut down supplies and things like that, to get rid of the poppy fields. And this is what's happening right now. And eventually what's going to happen is all those troops in Afghanistan, they're going to actually end up leaving, just like the troops leaving in Iraq. They're going to be leaving Syria, and I'm going to be talking about Syria in just a minute. And we see that all of this is now happening in real time. Now, Russia is out there, and they are saying that the U.S. has de facto occupied parts of Syria, like the al-tanf area, and they're saying that they're blocking humanitarian aid to these refugee camps in certain areas. And I think what Russia is going to end up doing here, and this is why they're saying this, is they're going to be going to the UN to say that the U.S. has no right to be in Syria. And Trump is going to have to make a decision at this point in time, just like he made a decision with the Iran sanctions, where he waived the Iranian sanctions, and of course, he said for the last time. Now, once again, he has no choice, and he didn't want to place more sanctions on Iran. Now, I know the Treasury Department placed certain sanctions on individuals like they've done with Russia. It's meaningless. It doesn't do anything. The deal with Iran was originally put into place so they never acquired nuclear weapons. That's what it was really about, because they knew once they got into Syria, they'd be able to invade or have regime change in Iran, and they wanted to make sure they didn't have nuclear weapons. That's why they pushed that deal. Trump right now is saying this is an awful deal. Why should they be allowed to have nuclear weapons? I mean, are we really stopping North Korea from getting nuclear weapons? No, they're getting nuclear weapons. That's the plan, is to have them a nuclear power. The plan is to have the IAEA come in and inspect and make sure that they can protect themselves, because every country has the right to protect themselves. This is why it's a bad deal. Also, it pushed Iran closer and closer to Russia and China. And remember, this is all a game right now. To undo everything the Cabal has done takes time. And again, if the Patriots, if Trump moves too quickly, the Cabal would react. And the reaction is not going to be good. So what he needs to do is he needs to keep them off track on what is really going on here, and shut down things in the meantime, and place investigations into certain individuals and what has gone on in the government at the same time, to keep them scrambled, to keep them confused, so they have nothing left. And if you noticed, what do they have left here? Everything they told us was fake. The Russian collusion, that he's going to be impeached, that we're going to start war with Syria. Thank God he bombed that base. We're going in there. We're going to remove Assad. That never happened. That we're going to be invading North Korea. This is why the ships are headed towards there. Remember, right in the beginning, when the corporate media reported that the aircraft carriers were headed there, and they really weren't. The whole thing is a game. Because inside of the Pentagon, inside the FBI, inside the CIA, yes, there are good people, and there are those that are part of the cabal. And it takes time to remove those individuals within these departments. And some of these individuals are high-ranking, where they have a lot of control. And we see right now the entire agenda here is to slowly move and trap these individuals and then make a move on the central bank. And that's why he has Andrew Jackson hanging in his office. It's not because he's on the $20 bill. It's because he got rid of the central bank. He was the president who got rid of them. He campaigned on getting rid of the central bank. Yes, the central bank tried to take him out. They tried to assassinate him. It didn't work. But he did it. Trump and those patriots are going to try to do the same exact thing. The problem is that the central bank, the cabal, they've been in government. They've been behind the scenes. They have plants everywhere. They're like a virus that's spread throughout our system. And to kill off this virus takes time because they've infiltrated almost everything. And we can see right now we're in the process of doing this. It's not over as of yet, but we're getting very close. And this doesn't mean that these individuals aren't going to try anything. We can see already with the corporate media, they're pushing a new agenda and they're bringing up old stories. They're trying to do whatever they can to shut this down because they know the end game is not going to be good for them. And who knows if the corporate media will even survive this, because a lot of people are going to look at this and say, okay, they lied to us all this time. They don't really report news. It's just propaganda. These individuals were stealing money from the American people. They were pushing regime change in countries, killing innocent individuals to make themselves wealthy. And when people start to hear this, and once it eventually comes out, it's going to be a very tough time for America. And this is going to be part of the transition. It's all part of it. The economic collapse, getting out of their system, people learning the truth, transitioning to a new way of life. And this is where we're headed. But we need to go through this bumpy road to get there. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.